Hello, my name is Kelly Smith, and today I will be demonstrating how to replace the ISE tubing of the DX700 chemistry analyzer. ISE stands for ion selective electrodes, and it consists of chloride, sodium, and potassium. Replacing of the ISE tubing is done as preventative maintenance to ensure that all ISE results are accurate. To begin, you must start by doing some pre-analytical work to the instrument. This pre-analytical work is preparing the ISE for maintenance. Your first step in doing this is to confirm that the system is in standby mode. Once that is done, select Maint, then ISE Daily Maintenance, then ISE Maintenance. Finally, select Drain Flow Cell and click OK. This is a very important step that can be repeated as many times as necessary until flow cell is completely drained. Now that you are done with your pre-analytical work, you may begin the procedure of removing the ISE tubing by firstly unplugging the sensor connector and mixing motor connector. Once they are both unplugged, you will begin unscrewing the safety screw that holds the component in place. Once the safety screw is removed, you will lift the component out of the machine and set to the side. Now that the mixing component is removed, loosen the retaining knob securing the sample pot and lift the pot from the peg. Disconnect the sample pot tubing from the sample pot by unscrewing the connector. Now that the old sample pot has been removed, you can now disconnect the REF electrode wire. This is when you will need to get your new tubing and new ISE port. Using the new tubing, reconnect your REF electrode wire. Once that is done, you will also reconnect the sample pot tubing connector. Next, resecure your sample pot into position and place your mixing component back into place as well. For the next steps to come, it's very important to know that the electrodes cannot come in contact with the ISE reference solution. This is because any contact between the two can deteriorate the electrodes. Now you will move the lock lever to the left to release the electrodes, remove the electrodes from the electrode block, and then, while holding the REF electrode block, disconnect the tubing labeled 6 from the REF electrode block. Now you'll connect your 6 tube of your new tubing onto the REF electrode block. Now that your tubing has been reconnected, set your electrodes back onto the REF electrode block and secure back in place. Afterwards, you will finish up by placing the rest of the tubing in its designated spot. Start by placing the 5A tube in the 5A slot and the 5B tube in the 5B slot. Then move on to your roller pump tubing. Place the 4 end on the 4 slot and the 3 end on the 3 slot, making sure to wrap around the roller pump. Once all tubes are reconnected, place the overflow dispenser onto the overflow port. Finally, you will return to your computer screen and select Prime ISE. Click the Start Stat Wheel button to begin the priming. You can repeat this step as many times as necessary until all bubbles are removed from tubing. Once all bubbles are gone, you have finished replacing the ISE tubing on the DX700.